I know what Makoto Shinkai goons to, and if you didn't already know, that's what I'll be discussing in this video. Yes, I'm talking about the guy who made Your Name multiple times. His films are praised for their visual stunningness, but they undoubtedly have sexual energy running subtly through them. Today, I'm going to go through his works and point out hidden, overlooked, or blatant adult themes. And just to be safe, now, let's slander these films. From a basic analytical standpoint, you could argue that all the films present this feeling of longing rooted in romance, which is true, but that's unimportant to what I want to talk about. This is just a great way to ease into this. His early films, 5 centimeters per second and The Place Promised in Our Early Days, mostly exclusively explored that theme. And even though there are moments of insinuation of something suggestive, there isn't too much hidden in these films. It's not until producer Koichiro Ito started funding Makoto's films that the suggested themes become more apparent. You could maybe infer from the producer's recent legal troubles that maybe the entities or people who give you money for creative projects may have leverage over what gets included. But that's just a theory. Regardless, Makoto's next 5 films are the product of this partnership and are where the real bulk of these themes exist. Now, I can't speak on The Children Who Chase Lost Voices, as I've never watched it, and you probably didn't either, but I'll sum up the story for you. It's about a grade schooler meeting a man who comes from down under, a place called Agartha, and this other Agarthian's plot to kidnap the girl in order to use her body to implant his wife's soul into. Pretty much this anime, but with extra steps. Talking about steps and large age gaps, Makoto's next movie, Garden of Words, is currently the least subtle film in its inclusion of adult themes. You get people who argue that the relationship between a 15-year-old high schooler and a 27-year-old teacher is about a deep emotional connection. It still hints at the theme of forbidden love, and while feet are shown throughout most of the film due to the high schooler's passion for making shoes, there's no denying the scene where the teacher is getting drunk in the park, while the high schooler is tracing around her feet in a very sensual way. The scene builds a sexual tension in the same way the pottery scene does in the movie Ghost. Now, if I were sponsored by an energy drink company, this would have been a perfect place for an ad read, but you can just subscribe to me instead. All that I can ask is, what is your name? Also known as Body Swap, the movie. You could also put Genderbender there since the tags tend to feature similar themes. There are probably others that overlap as well, but this is a video and not a doujin page. Regardless, the whole film is based on this, other than most claiming it's a classical trope pointing to other media that uses it. But the difference here is that the character, Taki, the guy, just gropes himself throughout the film while he's body swapped, to the point that Mitsuha, the girl's younger sister, becomes aware of this running joke. At first glance, yeah, you could see it as a trope, but it's a fetish nonetheless. Well, at least there's no problematic age gap in this one. Well, kinda. Technically. Even though the two are the same age when the swap occurs, it also occurs across time. 3 years in fact, which would put Mitsuha at 18-ish, 19 when Taki is 15, so that's a gray area. So, loophole? Other than body swapping being the main focus throughout the film, for some reason Makoto needed to bring back the element of alcohol in the presence of children, and he does that through the guise of a tradition called spit sake. And Taki finds out bodies aren't the only thing they'll be swapping. Coming next after Your Name, the wettest of them all, Weathering with You. While Makoto loves to include scenes where characters get wet, he decided to make this one all about that, with the added bonus of granting the female lead the ability to stop the moisture through this sacrifice/promise with these tadpole-like creatures called dragons. Visually, you could say it sort of matches Conception, but that's a stretch. The film has an underlying theme of adulthood. Parents are non-existent, and the children act out the adult experience. Haruka gets a job to survive in the city, and Hina has been doing odd jobs to support her siblings. The first time the two meet, she's pressured into working as an escort. Pairing this with the couple who hired Hidaka being the closest to parental figures, they treat him like a co-worker/friend. Insert alcohol in the presence of a minor again. Even though the two protagonists are both children, aged 15 and 14 respectively, the movie blurs this line through the characters' actions and the way the world around them views them. Initially, Hina does say she's 18 years old, and it's not until close to the end of the film that we and Hidaka find out she's younger than him, creating this pseudo-like age gap for most of the film. The scene with him finding out her real age is intended to be emotional, but it just feels like he's super disappointed to find out she's younger than him. All around, a real wet and messy film. Of all the films, Garden of Words is the most blatant in depicting its sexual themes, while I believe Suzume is the best at hiding them. To throw the reoccurring ones out, just to be thorough: alcohol in the presence of minors, check. Rainy scene, so characters can get wet, check. Finally, age gap, but this time the genders are swapped, double check. With that out of the way, the theme that sticks out for me in Suzume is cuck-share. With a film about emotional closure and a shoehorned romance, you might be thinking I'm just slandering at this point, but let's simplify the film a bit. The story is about Suzume tampering with a seal, which turns the man, whose literal job is a closer, into a chair. Then he has to have her step in to do his job for him while he sits back and watches as a literal chair. The job is to go around inserting his key into all these keyholes to lock the doors and restrict these disastrous worms, all the while she wears the key around her neck. There's a lot of close-up key going into keyhole action throughout the entire film. While he's living the life of a chair, there are multiple reasons for him to be sat on and stepped on, and even though he's only got 3 legs, which is just unreasonable, it would just be unbalanced at that point. But it's funny that the male character that was turned into a chair was given 3 legs. The male character that was turned into a chair was given 3 legs. In the very end, in order for the man to be saved, Suzume has to pull him up from the chair herself, and the worm that was underneath him is then subdued by the original key, a cat. Which the cat was what they were both chasing throughout the adventure and was the cause for all these worms to get riled up. At the end of the day, if you agree or disagree, you'll never be able to watch these films without at least thinking about these themes. Later.